Hi, it's been a little while since I've been on YouTube. Although my channel is still prolifically going, 1.2 million views, I haven't really done a podcast style magazine program since last year when I did 23 episodes of my vinyl. And they were semi-successful, lots of good feedback. Anyway, I've been really busy the last 6 months. I've been writing, recording, I've been doing my own gigs. But I thought I'd just come back and I'm going to start off with a weekly little magazine program and I'll just have a chat to you about what I've been up to. Well, back in February, late February, early March, I took a little trip up Northern Europe on a ship. So we landed in Hamburg for a couple of days and then down to Rotterdam for a couple of days and then down to Bruges. I was determined to find record shops, and when I googled Hamburg record shops, the first shop that came up was Michel's, and that's my partner's name. I thought, I've got to go there. So I unboard the ship, put my Google Maps on, and basically I put, how do I walk there? And it gave me a step-by-step direction all the way from the ship to Michel's record store. But 25-minute walk. It was quite icy, there was snow at some point, but what a fantastic walk, walking through old Hamburg. The architecture was out of this world, maritime museums, crossing over lots of bridges, lots of rivers. Hamburg is a fantastic place, a bit too far away from the Beatles' Hamburg. That was on the other side of the city, but I wasn't really interested in that because I knew that the Hamburg has gone a long time ago. Anyway, I found Michel's record store and I was so pleased that I went into the shop and I saw the owner, I met the owner, and I had a little chat with him and I said, I've come all the way from Wales, UK, to find you. And he went, wow, have you? I said, yeah. I said, you were the first record store to come up on Google. And it's my girlfriend's name, Michelle. So I found you. It took me 25 minutes to come off the ship to find you. And obviously when I told him I was from Wales, he was really happy because some of his favourite bands come from Wales, and especially the Man Band, Stereophonics, Manning Street Preachers. Anyway, let's have a little look what I bought in Michel's record store. And as you can see, I've got a tote bag. Michel's. So I bought a few albums. I bought 4 albums. So let's stick this up by here. And my first album, who I'm a massive fan of, the Paul Butterfield Band. Brilliant. It's called Golden Butter, the best of the Paul Butterfield Blues Band. And it's out of this world. It's absolutely brilliant. And some of my favourite guitar players are playing on here as well. And that's Mike Bloomfield, Elvin Bishop. It's just full of fantastic people and musicians. Great inner. And some of the tracks in here would be Born in Chicago. That was Paul Butterfield's biographical song, isn't it? It's brilliant. Shaky Moneymaker, I love that one. Elmo James, if I'm not mistaken. Mellow Down Easy, Our Love Is Drifting. Mystery Train, Look Over Yonder Wall, fantastic. Side 2, East West, Walking Blues. I would have been Robert Johnson, I'd imagine. Get Out of My Life, Woman, Mary. Side 3, Spoonful. That's a brilliant one. I love that song. If I'm not mistaken, Howlin' Wolf. One More Mile. One More Heartache. Last Hope's Gone. In My Own Dream. Side 4, Love March. Drifting. Blind Leading the Blind. So that was my first record I bought in Michel's. fantastic, and I love it, and I love Paul Butterfield. What was my second album? Well, being a teenager, a young teenager in 1977, I was a punk rocker. And I found the Clash first album. Now, I bought this album when I was 13 years of age, and I wore it out. And I never rebought it. And I thought, I really do. This is my favourite Clash album. It is unbelievable. It still stands the test of time, without doubt. Songs in here, Jenny Jones, Remote Control, I'm So Bored of the USA, White Riot, classic song, Hate and War, What's My Name, Deny, and London's Burning, side 1. Side 2, Career Opportunities, Cheat, Protex Blues, and the Junior Moving song, which I still play in my gigs to this day, and I actually played it Tuesday night at a gig. Police and Thieves, absolutely love it. It is my all-time classic. And the last track's called Garageland. As you can see, there's only 3 guys here. So you've got Paul Simonon, Mick Jones, and you've got Joe Strummer. They didn't have a drummer, they had a session drummer. And he's mentioned on the back. So we have Mick Jones, Joe Strummer, Paul Simonon. They called him Tory Crimes, but it was Terry Chimes, and he was a jazz drummer. And he did join the band. He wasn't a happy punk rocker. He was, this band could play. Joe Strummer was in pub rock bands in the early 70s, the 101ers. Paul Simonon couldn't play bass guitar. They actually taught him to play bass guitar during their gigs. And Mick Jones was just an awesome producer and guitar player. So The Clash was my second album I bought at Michelle's Records. Okay, I'm a Welsh boy, and I love my Welsh rock and my Welsh blues. So in the shop was Dave Edmunds' first album, and it's called Dave Edmunds Rocker, Early Works, 1968 to 1972. And I love Dave Edmunds. He hasn't been really well recently. He's quite critical with a heart condition. I've seen Dave Edmunds live a couple of times. Phenomenal guitar player, phenomenal singer. He's up there, as a guitar player. Dave Edmunds is up there without any doubt. He's up there with Albert Lee. He's good. Tommy Emmanuel actually supported him on one of the venues. And this is an absolutely brilliant album. It's a real, because he had some number one, you hear me knocking, things on songs like that, were brilliant, Back in the mid-70s, he played with Terry Williams from Dire Straits, Nick Lowe, some great guys. Dave Ball, I think, was another one. And but hearing Dave Edmunds in 1968 was great. I know some of you older guys remember a song called Sabre Dance, which he released. That was his real break into modern music. But some of the tracks here, so you've got Sabre Dance, Think of Love, River to Another Day, Brand New Man, Parole, You Can't Catch Me, In the Land of the Few. Side 2, Freddie King classic, The Stumble, brilliant. Wang Dang Doodle, that was Willie Dixon, written number. I Believe in My Soul, Ray Charles. So side 2 is really exciting. Then we've got an Elmo James song called So Unkind, On the Road Again, Shake Your Hips, James Moore, Blues Helping. Side 3, Down, Down, Down. I Hear You Knocking. This was one of his songs which he took to the top of the charts. Hell of a Pain, It Ain't Easy, The Promised Land, which would have been Chuck Berry, Black Pill, written by Dave Edmunds, I'm Coming Home, Country Roll. Last side would be Dance, 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 which was a Neil Young song. I'm a Lover, Not a Fighter, Egg or the Hen, Sweet Little Rock and Roller, Chuck Berry, Outlaw Blues, Bob Dylan, Blue Monday, and I'll Get Along. This is a brilliant early introduction, brilliant gatefold to the Welsh legend, Dave Edmunds. I love him. So that was my third album. What was my fourth album I bought in Michelle's? As you know, I'm quite eclectic with my music. I've gone through all types of phases, and I still love all the music. And the Smiths, A Hatful of Hollow. I don't like Morrissey's politics. I find them quite disturbing. But Morrissey, as a lyricist, owes nothing to beat him in the 80s and the early 90s with his compatriot Johnny Marr, who I rate as one of the greatest guitar players the UK has produced. And he's still going strong, and Morrissey is still going strong, even though they don't talk. They're opposite poles when it comes to their political beliefs, and I'm more of a Johnny Marr side than Morrissey. But sometimes you've got to ignore the politics, because you won't be able to listen to the great songs of the Smiths through the 80s, and I had been a young lad listening to these, and they were jaw-droppingly brilliant. So on this album, William, It Was Really Nothing, great song. What a Difference Does It Make? These Things Take Me. And the first song I ever heard of the Smiths, This Charming Man. How Soon Is Now, Handsome Devil, Hand in Glove, which is brilliant, Still Ill. B-side, Heaven Knows I'm Miserable Now. Morrissey was always miserable, but that is a great song. The Night Has Opened My Eyes, You've Got Everything Now, Accept Yourself, Girl Afraid, Back to the Old House, Reel Around the Fountain, and my favourite without doubt, and I've actually recorded this song, and it's on Spotify. If you just put Gordon Ride in, Please, Please, Please Let Me Get What I Want. It's 1 minute 50 seconds, and it's still Morrissey's encore song. It's brilliant. So there we have, there's my 4 albums from Michelle's in Hamburg. Right, I went down to Rotterdam, and I found the Velvet record store. Rotterdam, brilliant city. I loved it. As you come into the harbour, it's like the New York skyline. It's amazing. I got an Uber from the ship with my partner, and we ended up in old Rotterdam city. Oh, brilliant. It's not everyone's taste. They're quite liberal with what they're showing, and some of the streets we went to, you know, pretty eye-opening. We found some great bars, some great pubs, some brilliant beers. But then I found the Velvet record store, and I bought a couple of albums there. So what did I get at the Velvet record store? Here we go. Stax tracks. I loved Stax records. I absolutely loved them. They were a cross between the blues, R&B and rock and roll. And I just love it. It's a greatest hits and well worth checking out, especially some of the artists on here. So track 1, I Take You There, the Staple Singers. Time Is Tight, Booker T and the MGs. Knock on Wood, Eddie Floyd. Stay With Me Baby, Shirley Brown. I've Been Lonely for So Long, Frederick Knight. Private Number, Judy Clay and William Bell. Long Walk to DC, again, the Staple Singers. 60 Minute Man, Rufus Thomas, brilliant. Why I Keep Loving These Memories, Gene Knight. And track 2, side 2, theme from Shaft. I think we all remember Shaft, if you're of a certain age, and everyone was learning that guitar riff. Bring It On Home to Me, Eddie Floyd, still a great track, and I was lucky enough to be the Animals road manager in Portugal, and I used to listen to that song by the Animals every night. Women to Women, Shirley Brown. Respect Yourself, the Staple Singers again. Soul Limbo, Booker T and the MGs. Mr. Big, Gene Knight. My Girl, Eddie Floyd. Sitting on the Dock of the Bay. That would have been, am I right, to the Dock of the Bay? Would that be Otis Redding? The Staple Singers and Funky Chicken, Rufus Thomas. So this was the first album I bought in Rotterdam in the Velvet Record Store. And the second album I bought would have been, so I must have been feeling a little bit soul-y and a bit R&B. Another blast of the past to my youth, Tavares. I've been a young boy, teenager, even if I was a teenager, but we used to go to local discos, and you can guarantee Tavares would have been played that night. And they were a great band. So they kind of came, they were post Temptations, Four Tops, so they would have been massive in the early mid-70s. So we had songs like The Mighty Power of Love, Riding High, To the Other Man. The one I remember mostly, Heaven Must Be Missing an Angel. Side 2, Being With You, Wonderful, Guiding Star, and another famous one of theirs, Don't Take Away the Music. Produced by Freddie Perrin, and they were on part Capitol Records, so they want Motown. But I got to say, the album cover drew me to buying this as well. So I got a bit soul-y and I got a little bit Stax in Rotterdam. So that was my little trip. Just a little bit of news. If you're Oasis fans, I'm not, but I appreciate the legacy they've left over the last 30 years or so. They did a huge sellout tour last year. Many years back, I can't remember how many years back it was, 20 years plus, they played a one-off gig at Nebworth. It was live on UK TV. It was the highest grossing one-day gig for any band. They helicoptered him into Nebworth Castle. Anyway, all these years later, this week I've heard that Oasis are thinking of doing Nebworth once again. And I've got no doubt at all about it. It will sell out. I think it's 100,000 plus. And it's just amazing that this band who had their first hits back in 1994, Wonderwall, Supernova, Champagne, it's just crazy, and I did love the Manchester sound, and I did love a lot of the bands that came from there. You had the Stone Roses, Happy Mondays, the Smiths, just some great bands came out of Manchester. Some sad news recently. We lost the Welsh legendary singer Bonnie Tyler, who had number ones in America and the UK with Total Eclipse of the Heart, It's a Heartache. And I remember Bonnie Tyler when I was a teenager, and her first hit was Lost in France. And she's going to be sorely missed. She was a wonderful, personable, approachable young lady. And unfortunately, we lost Bonnie a few weeks back. Another big shocker was the Irish singer-songwriter Glen Hansard. He was tragically killed in a motorcycle accident just outside Dublin a couple of weeks back. I'm a massive fan of Glen Hansard. He was in the original film The Commitments. He was in a band called Frames, an Irish band. But he was more famous for a film he wrote and starred in. It was called Once. And it's about a vacuum cleaner salesman, so spare parts. He went busking in Dublin. He met a lady, she was busking, and they wrote songs. And the story was turned into a play, and I was lucky enough to go to Dublin many years ago. And I've seen the play in one of Dublin's greatest theatres. And to hear that the writer of that fantastic film Once, it's out on DVD, and it's worth watching. It's just one camera just following this couple around Dublin. It's a bit of a heartbreak as well in the end, but yeah. So we lost Glen Hansard, anyway, this is my first week back with this little magazine podcast, and quite a few bands touring across in America and in UK and in Europe. You can catch Iron Maiden, you can catch Metallica. So, two of my favourite bands, I can't doubt that. I went, as I said, I went to see this lovely young lady from Tennessee who played just down the road from here in Swansea, called Hilary Klug. She's America's buck dancing champion, fiddle player, singer, banjo player, and she does them all at once. And what a lovely young lady. I met her, spoke to her. I said I wouldn't be doing a podcast, and I'd said I'd mentioned the gig, and I bought a CD. She's brilliant. A young lady with so much talent. Hilary Klug, spelled Klug. Check her on Facebook. She's out of this world. Anyway, for week 1 of my new magazine program, I'll see you next week. Take care.